Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome back. So let's address said there are certain general education outcomes that we get out of the emotional intelligence lessons. Say for examples, emotional intelligence also enhances our writing skills, presentation skills, problem solving skills, our ethical behaviors, working in a teams, having global perspectives, lifelong learning, and appreciation for diversity and diverse perspectives. But when you say that how this writing skill develops, so when you enhance our emotional intelligence, developing one's writing skills, EI for developing writing skills. How can we enhance the writing skill of our students? Say for examples, we have examined the interconnection between feelings, thinking, and action. When you develop a good perspective, we have seen that emotional intelligence changes one perspective. These perspectives are converted into opportunities and ideas. Say for examples, conflict and peace, they are interrelated, whether one should go for conflict or one should go for peace. So then through emotional intelligence we analyze this. So both are the product of emotion. So one is destructive emotion, one is constructive. This is constructive and this is destructive. So when we try to teach our students the cost and benefit of each emotions, or suppose, and so they will very quickly realize the importance of peace. So peace will bring harmony. This will create fight between groups, society, nation. This will create harmony, happiness, prosperity. So there are many positive effects of peace, but if you look into, there are many negative effects of conflict. So when you train them to be emotionally very cautious, very careful, very concerned about others. So a person emotionally, this is high EI and this is low EI. People often say that also war is very much required in order to establish peace. Like, I was reading newspaper just day before yesterday. A international defense exhibition was conducted by Pakistan in Lahore or Karachi, I think, any one of these places, where they were highlighting the peaceful use of defense, the peaceful use of defense technology. like the peaceful use of, similarly the peaceful use of atom bomb. Why people are creating atom bomb or atomic weapons or missiles or etc., etc., anything that creates threat for mankind. So, when you talk about the peaceful use of any technology, that itself enhances the peaceful understanding of bringing prosperity for the growth and development of mankind. So, that is how, when you change your perspective of understanding, you will be able to expand your opinion, your energy, your ideas, which will help us to develop divergent thinking. And a person who is capable of developing divergent thinking, he will be able to stretch away his or her thoughts, and that may lead to creative ideas, creative writing skills. Say for examples like, everybody cannot be a poet, everybody cannot be a writer, there, because writing is such a skills that requires thoughtful observations. Recently, one of the director, Bollywood director, the director of Piku, who came, and one of our students asked him, sir, what kind of skills is required to be director? He said only one word: thoughtful observation. Thoughtful observation. And in fact, this is the only word that made the director to come up with a movie such as like Piku. The whole story, the central theme of the story moves around only word, that is constipation. That the movie begins with constipation and ends with constipation. But if you look at the entire episode, what kind of message it is expanding to the society, the care, concern of the closed one is very much essential for our survival. The care, concern, empathy are essential ingredients or components of human survival. We need to understand each other. We need to care about each other, whether it is an old person or a young person. Everybody has to pass through that stage. So, it is not that somebody is in trouble, we should not pay attention. That is where EI creates awareness. EI creates awareness about displaying empathy towards others. So, this is how one can enhance the writing skills. When you feel well, then you think well. The feel well, think well, and that will leads to act well. So, the whole perspective evolves around the concept of feeling. What is called the regulation of our emotion is called emotional intelligence. So, that is how it may enhance the writing skills, the presenting, how you want to present yourself in a violent way or a silent way. There is no shortcut. How EI enhances, what is the relation between EI and presenting things and presenting? How you want to present yourself, your views, your thoughts, your ideas towards others. This is the general nature of the mankind or every human being, that we always try to project a good state of our affairs. So, what is a good state of affairs? We want to others please others, politeness, making others happy, making the comfort zone for others, so that you can freely interact with others, so others do not hesitate to interact with you. This creates opportunity for. So, when people are in a comfort zone, this creates opportunity for problem solving, negotiation, and also decision making. So, any decision taken in a hasty manner is likely to have negative consequences. Therefore, whenever you are engaged in emotionally highly loaded situations, never take any instant decisions. Try to understand it from multiple perspectives. What could be the cost and benefit of your decision? Where it will lead to you? Where you are going to end up? So, this kind of analysis, when you make a thorough analysis of all this, that will may be helpful to reach at a consensual decision by consensus. Consensus does not mean only in a group. Consensus also depends upon your own views when you are confronted with multiple ideas, multiple alternatives of solutions, how you are fighting with each other and reaching at a best solutions. So, these are the possible outcomes of how you present your situations. And then problem solving, then ethical behavior. Most of the times, we are confronted with ethics and morality, ethics and morality. When you talk about positive qualities that we nurture through emotional intelligence, even some of the experts of emotional intelligence like Goldman, Barron's, Cooper and Swayam, who talk about outlook, reasoning, ethics, morality, reality at workplace. So, what does it mean? When we talk about ethics, it is the biggest challenge of human behavior to display ethical behavior or moral behavior in the right time, in the right situation, in the right context to right people. So, when you talk about ethics, at the same time we talk about morality. Are they same or are they different? Ethics always focuses on what is right or what is wrong, while morality focuses on what is good or what is bad, right? But let us have an example. Say for you are a police officer, one of your brother has committed a crime, and as a police officer you are hesitant. As a police officer you lodged a FIR against your brother. So, this is what we call ethically correct. But when you think that you are the brother of the same person who has committed the crime, you say no, not lodging FIR is ethically incorrect, because you are violating the principles of your duties. So, your duties, making people. So, ethics makes a person dutifulness, but sometimes the dutifulness may make you guilty, feeling of guilty. Guilty will lead to immorality. Sorry, the expression of ethics may leads to immorality, because your moral responsibility as a brother, immorality. Your moral responsibility as a brother is to look into the welfare of your brother. This is where you are in a big difficult situation, whether you have to practice ethics or your duties as a police officer, or you will refrain from discharging your duties, saying that you have moral responsibility to take care of your brother. So, this is how we are always confronted with conflicting demands of daily values that we practice in our lives. So, that is why we discussed about EQ values and beliefs in the earlier class. How one needs to be very careful while practicing EQ beliefs and values. So, but emotional intelligence is such a skill. The moment you bring a little bit reasoning to your emotionally overloaded situations, maybe you will find a better perspective to take a right decision. Say, for example, suppose you are sitting in a jury as a judge. So, you are selecting a person for Indian Army as officer. Suddenly, you find that one of your close relatives from your locality has appeared for the interview for the same judge as army officer. But when you examine the qualities required for an army officer, you find the person is much below to your expectations. But the moment you saw his face, you suddenly decided within yourself that, oh, this person is from my locality, I should be little liberal, I should help him out. So, by this kind of bringing this kind of perspective to your mind for analysis is bringing biases in your judgments. So, then thereafter suddenly you think, no, he may be my closed one belonging to my own place, own locality, but I am selecting him for the nation. I cannot compromise with the qualities. So, then you may be in a, when you bring in little bit reasoning, no, I am selecting a person for the nation, I cannot compromise with national security by selecting a weak candidate. Maybe there you can bring right man for the right selection, right man for right selection. And this is where the perspectives that was brought by EI is very beneficial in problem solving, in ethical behavior. And there is another is what we call working in a team. Working in a team is very vital, because a team is consists of multiple people, multiple attitude, perception, values, personalities. So, when you talk about team, EI in team, this is what I usually find in my training programs, starting from managers to academicians, NGO officers, defense personnel. We have seen the difficulties that we face in a team. A team consists of group of peoples. So, there is diverse personality. different attitudes, beliefs, values, expectations, different goals and targets. Irrespective of all this diversity, how to reach a right decisions? Very, very difficult. We struggle a lot, but through the development of EI, by nurturing positive qualities, positive strengths, virtues, now what should be right, what should be wrong, what should be the cost of mistakes and errors when you are bringing biases to your judgments, then leadership have been effective very much in team situation where we nurture EI. So, we will be discussing more of how EI also is essential for developing effective leadership. Maybe in our next lecture we will look into this, but EI is very much essential. Understanding people because they are overloaded with attitude, beliefs and values, and these attitude, beliefs and values, human behavior has three component ABC, affective, behavioral and cognitive. So, this affective is always very dominant or very, very influential. So, we need to be very carefully understand the emotional status of a team members. That is going to affect, because mostly in general people or Indians are emotional in nature. They do not understand logic, rather they are more comfort with their emotional needs and demands. I will quote you a small example. In one of the India's largest industry called Tata Steel. So, when I was attending a conference in Bhubaneswar during 90s, in one of the national HRD seminar was conducted by Professor Prabha Mishra from Utkal University, a professor of OB and HR. So, he was quoting an example of the then time MD, the managing director Rishi Modi. He is such a terrific and transformational leader. He was actually exemplifying the true example of emotional intelligence, how to deal with labor problems, how to deal with employee problems in organizations. So, the situation was as such that the Holi was coming. Holi is one of the biggest festival in India, and the employees were on strike for extra bonus because Holi is coming. They want to celebrate, and for which they demanded little money and one pair of dress. But due to lack of profits during that quarters, the management committee denied, no, it is not possible. As a result, the whole employee union went on strike, and this message reached to the headquarters in Mumbai, where the Rishi Modi was sitting, and by the same evening he travelled to Tata Steel located in Jamshedpur. You cannot imagine the way he solved the problems in few minutes. So, he said, I do not want to meet my management, I want to meet the people who are on strike directly, call them to canteen, the common canteen. I do not know whether it is a true story or imaginary, but this was told in the seminar, that directly Rishi Modi asked his people, what is your demand? So, very openly people said, sir, we need this much bonus and one pair of dress, because Holi is coming, and this is one of the important celebration of our family. And I am just highlighting the emotional need, how emotional needs always takes over our other needs. So, Rishi Modi said, okay, you need rupees 50 bonus, I will pay you rupees 100, I will make it a double. You want one pair of dress, I will give you two pair of dress. One you play with Holi, Another you make use of after Holi when you take baths. Are you happy? Yes. People were immensely happy, and there was a huge slogan in favor of Modi as a great leader, as a admired leader of their people, and they started saying, "Long life Rishi Modi, long life." And then immediately looking at the emotional status of the people, then Rishi Modi said, "My dear friends, but I am going to fulfill all your needs with a little small condition, that I want all of you put 1 hour extra work every day till next 3 months." And that was unanimously, without any difficulty, accepted by all the employees of the union. And see, and the same quarter, Tata Steel revenue gone double. There was a huge beneficial both for employees were happy because they got the bonus. The organization was happy because productivity went up. That is how a leader should understand the emotional need and act accordingly, so that it becomes a win-win situation both for the employees as well as employers. So, a win-win situation both for employees and employers. That is the beauty of emotional intelligence, understanding the emotional need of its people. An emotionally intelligent leader can completely transform a negative situation into a positive one. That is where we call EI helps in making situation win-win both for employee as well as employers. Then having a global perspective, how EI can help us in developing one global understanding. So, what is global perspective? I was just talking about, does EI help in cross-cultural adaptability? When you examine the Barron's EQ tools, there is a dimension known as adaptability. We'll talk about that. How adaptability, or even the very definition of Barron's also says that it's the ability of a person. Emotional intelligence is nothing. The ability of a person, how quickly one can cope with new environment, new situations, and that shows the adaptability of a person. In the current global business scenario, there is an exchange program happening between institute, universities, business organizations, corporate organizations, etc., etc. So, after globalization, now the whole world has become a global village, and we are frequently working with each other, exchanging with each other. How to understand others' emotions when I am not aware about Chinese, when I never met any Japanese, any Americans, do I know how to behave with them? The only way is EI. EI is nothing but how to communicate emotions, how to exchange relations, how to exchange feelings, and that is where we are going to extract a global perspective of emotional intelligence that facilitates the global operations, both in educating ourselves, developing ourselves, and benefiting from business. And that is what I am highlighting, the global perspective of emotional intelligence. Lifelong learning. So, learning is endless. Learning is endless. So, emotional intelligence encourages lifelong learning. So, that means it is continuous. You need to practice. It is enduring in nature. So, EI needs to be practiced throughout lifetime. It is not that today you are showing empathy and tomorrow you are showing adamant. No, that should not be. That means the learning has not taken place correctly within yourself. So, that is why you often say that EI learning or any learning is more or less permanent change in human behavior, change in human behavior as a result of practice. Right. So, it is endless and continuous, it continues throughout our life, because we used to meet many people, many situations, many cultures. So, the give and take that takes place between you and me, between he and she, between we and they, that creates a global framework for sharing, caring and interacting, and that is the what we call the platform where we can realize the benefits of emotional intelligence. Thank you.